now as many people commit to New Year's resolutions to slim down their waistlines. The Royal College of GPs this week warned people against buying potentially unsafe weight loss jabs online, saying the lack of regulation could put people at risk.
So someone with first-hand experience of these potential risks is Georgie Aldous. Now, he ended up in A&E after suffering heart palpitations, and Georgie joins us now in the studio. We're also joined by Dr. Amir from Bradford. Happy New Year to you too, Dr. Amir. We're going to chat to Georgie first of all. Happy New Year to you. And hopefully it will be a Happy New Year, because now you've put this episode behind you. But I'm going to take you back to the beginning. What led you to want to go on this in the first place, and how did you source the jabs you took?
So, I feel like I was yo-yo dieting and, you know, wanting to lose weight.
Yeah.
I've tried numerous things like healthy diets.
Right.
But with weight loss jabs, they are kind of everywhere. So last year, I thought about giving it a go. But I did put it off until this year. So then I did source it through a legitimate online pharmacy.
Right. So you sourced it from an online pharmacy, which looked legitimate or actually was legitimate?
Was legitimate.
Was legitimate. Yeah. You received your jabs, you received the injections. Then what happened? So
I was on the drug for around 5 months. So for the first few months, great.
Yeah.
It did what it was supposed to do.
You started losing weight?
Yes, I started losing weight. And then it got to a point where I was starting to feel a little unwell, you know, so a little kind of frail, a bit weak. And then it got to a point where I did go to see my GP. And then around the 5-month mark, I moved up to the last dose I was on. And then I ended up going to A&E.
Now, this is when it really took a turn for the worse. Yes. What were you experiencing? What drove you to A&E?
So I had a very high heart rate.
Oh, goodness.
A resting heart rate, which I woke up with in the middle of the night. So I went there at 4 in the morning until around lunchtime.
Wow.
So not good at all. So one of the key things,
No, please.
One of the key things, I suppose, was even though it was a legitimate pharmacy, and therefore you would hope that the injections, the chemicals you're putting into you are correct, it didn't crucially have the online medical support, did it?
No, I guess it just didn't work for me personally, because I feel like with a lot of these things, it has to work for you as an individual, and it isn't going to work.
Can you just clarify, so when you first got in touch with the online pharmacy, what checks did they do? What kind of diagnosis or anything did they do before they actually agreed to send you out these injections?
So it's not a long check process. So you need to upload a photo of your ID.
Okay.
And a video of you standing on some scales.
Right.
And then you only have to do that once. And then when you reorder...
To prove your weight.
To prove your weight.
I guess,
yeah. And then when you reorder in future months, you don't need to do that anymore. You just put what weight you are at that point.
So do they take your height and all other figures?
I believe so, yeah.
I believe so. That doesn't sound very specific,
because it's so quick.
Yeah.
Let's speak to Dr. Amir Khan, who's in Bradford at the moment. Dr. Amir, so we're just hearing here from Georgie. So, you know, in a way, some of those things were probably right. You know, just check the ID, make sure we're speaking to the right person, do a weight check. But more crucially, I guess they don't have any sort of GP records. They don't know any of the history of this particular person. Is that right, do you think?
Morning. Yeah, that is worrying. These are drugs. They have potential side effects, and we have to do checks on patients' health before we can prescribe them. In general practice, where I am, we can't prescribe them directly for weight loss or for weight management. We have to refer people into specialist services who get that whole wraparound care, the whole thing around nutritional advice, movement advice, sleep and stress management. All of that goes hand in hand with the management of obesity and a lot of psychological support, because obesity, there is a lot of big psychological and genetic component to it as well. In terms of prescribing and checks, yes, the weight and height is important because we need to calculate BMI. But if I prescribe these drugs, which I do for the management of type 2 diabetes, which is what they were originally for, I would have a whole set of blood tests in front of me that check people's liver, their kidneys and their thyroid, all of which can be affected by these drugs. So I do think there are some legitimate good providers out there, private providers who are giving these medications out, but we do need stricter regulations. We need more comprehensive, holistic wraparound care to anyone who's getting these drugs through these private providers. And the public need to be more aware of any potential side effects, because there is a long list of them. And I think these drugs are sold as a kind of quick fix to the management of obesity, and the side effects are washed over, particularly in social media and celebrity culture. And that really does need to change.
I suppose the problem is that there is quite people are finding it hard to get access, aren't they? Yeah. And not necessarily just because there's time that's needed to do those proper checks. And, Georgie, I don't know if you had friends who'd been successful on it or you knew people. Certainly it feels like everybody you notice has lost weight and looking healthy. You say, oh, how have you done that? They go, oh, I'm on the jab. So a kind of a build-up can come that this is a good thing now that it's more common, Dr. Amir.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There is a long wait for people to access these medications on the NHS. Like I say, if they come and see me, that isn't where they're going to get the drugs for weight management. I then have to refer them into a structured weight loss program, which takes time. And they may not necessarily get the medication there if they haven't addressed things around nutrition and movement. And so they don't get that quick fix that these online providers might provide. Not all of them. Some of them do it legitimately. And you're right. Lots of people are taking these drugs and don't have the side effects. That's the thing with drugs. Some people will get the side effects, others won't, and they'll get the weight loss and pass that message on. So I think we've just got to be really clear with our messaging when it comes to any medication, but particularly medication around weight loss that is available online. There are potential, not so serious side effects, but some very serious side effects that can occur as well. And that is the message we need to get out to the public.
Dr. Amir, thank you very much for joining us this morning. I'll let you get back to your important work. And Georgie, thanks very much as well. I think it's a timely lesson for a lot of people. We're thinking about these things at this time of year.
It is. And you're feeling good now?
I'm feeling good now.
Yeah.
Good.
Now, a spokesperson for the pharmaceutical company Eli Lilly, which makes the Mounjaro jab, said patient safety is our top priority. The drug should only be used when prescribed by a licensed healthcare professional, and prescriptions should be fulfilled and supplied by regulated pharmacies and providers.